Salvage face the biggest shipwrecks in modern American history.
This has never happened here before. There's no book for it.
And we got it.
Extreme weather pushes salvage crews to the edge.
Any big movement may put one of my crewmen in danger.
And a long-buried mystery is raised from the bottom of the ocean.
Freaking monstrosity.
When the weather turns, nothing in their path is safe.
It's a major disaster.
That's when salvage teams spring into action.
3 o'clock in the morning, the phone rings and you mobilise.
Working in treacherous waterways. On the 8th of September 2019, the MV Golden Ray capsized on the southeast coast of the United States. A car carrier loaded with over 4,000 new vehicles. It started to over-rotate to the right whilst leaning into a turn. The local pilot and the captain took immediate and decisive action to move the Golden Ray out of the main shipping channel and ground her so that the access to the port was not blocked, earning the praise of the Georgia Port Authority. At 200 meters long, the ship is the size of a 7-story building laying on its side. Removing it will be one of the biggest salvage operations ever undertaken in US waters.
First reaction when I learned about the Golden Ray was actually hard to believe. As with most salvors, you know, there's always a bit of adrenaline that kicks in, but then it starts settling in and you realize there's a lot of work ahead. So, Cap, you all ready?
Sure.
Fuel, we good? Water, we good?
Yes, sir.
Mauricio Garrido is president of the international company T&T Salvage, which has been chosen to remove the Golden Ray. The Texas-based company has made a name for itself recovering boats and barges along the Gulf Coast. It's grown into a company with a global reach. But the Golden Ray is one of their biggest jobs ever.
What's unique about this job, you're between Jekyll Island and St. Simon's Island, beautiful area of the United States.
In the US state of Georgia lies St. Simon's Sound, a popular tourist area and home to unique marshlands that support a variety of wildlife and sea life. Removing the massive shipwreck attracts the world's attention.
Good afternoon. Currently, we're mobilizing resources and taking all steps necessary to mitigate any potential pollution.
When you look at a job of this magnitude, there's pressure to get the ship out. And the question is, how do we remove it?
There are 2 ways that ships are traditionally salvaged. One is to roll it back upright, known as parbuckling, and tow it away. The other, cut it up piecemeal and remove the scrap.
Let me give it some thought of what we have available.
But for this job, traditional methods are not going to work.
That's where experience kicks in and you pick a course of action.
Mauricio and his team spend months researching methods. They come up with an unexpected solution.
The plan that we've developed is to take the ship and slice it into 8 sections.
The salvage team is going to slice the vessel up into 8 massive chunks, then lift each section out one at a time. Cutting a vessel into 8 massive slices weighing close to 6,000 tons each is something that's never been tried before on a ship of this size. As an added insurance against contaminants, a protective barrier will be built around the site. But there's another complication. The Atlantic hurricane season is just 6 months away. If the ship isn't out by then, the elements risk breaking it apart. Cutting the vessel is the fastest and safest way to remove it before a hurricane or tropical storm hits.
We have assets on scene. They continue to do what they can. It is a complex situation, but we have everybody looking to try and solve this complex problem.
The US Coast Guard, the state of Georgia, and the vessel owners join forces with the team from T&T Salvage. Everything is riding on this cutting-edge plan succeeding.
Perhaps the biggest component of a successful salvage operation is the team, people.
Mauricio put together a team of top salvage divers and other specialists. This operation will run 7 days a week and 24 hours a day.
Salvors need to be creative and lateral thinkers. There aren't many of them around.
The salvage masters are the generals who marshal the forces.
I couldn't think of a better guy to kick it off than Siggy.
Jose is standing by on the spots, right? Yes, sir.
The first thing I thought was, this is a very, very complicated operation.
Jimmy, who I've known for a long time. And so I thought those two guys would do a great duo.
I've been a salvage master for 25 years, almost 30.
We're going to go ahead and monitor the weather.
Okay. Siggy, we got it.
Salvage is a unique industry, so a salver is a different breed. And the team that's been put together here, to me, is world-class.
That'll work.
Most of the team out there has worked with me at some point, and a lot of them have worked for many years under my direction.
We're out of here, right?
Yep.
You will always face something new, and everybody goes back home safe and sound. That's the most important part.
But even before they can begin work on the salvage operation, the Golden Ray throws down a fresh challenge.
We had a very serious problem with scouring on the bow and the stern. We see much stronger current than we actually expected. At times, we can see 6 knots, and the seabed was simply washing away.
If we let that happen, the ship can rock side to side, and it can take any position in any given second.
There is obviously a concern to everybody. You've got cars that could break loose and fall into the water.
If it goes on much longer, the currents could break the vessel apart.
We have to control the scouring.
Along the Jersey Shore, 40 kilometers south of Atlantic City,
Roger, thank you.
veteran salver Phil Risco of North Star Marine and a team of local divers are joining forces to recover something big buried in the sand 40 feet below.
So the divers previously came across some sort of ferrous metal under the sea surface, and we're going to uncover it because it's fairly well buried and try to put it on the deck of the boat.
Could there be a valuable prize under all that sand? Phil is betting a good chunk of his own money that there is.
Well, I always said the crazier the opportunity, the better I like it. I don't like to turn down any job or any project, any opportunity.
But in these waters, salvage is never easy. Autumn along the Jersey Shore means unpredictable weather. Sun can shine 1 minute, but storm clouds and high winds can roll in without warning.
The cold water, the current, visibility, the swell action, wave action, all these things increases the risk. So when we see a weather window, we have to take advantage of that.
Okay, we're gonna hopefully get a swing on it.
Okay, Roger, you want to put a down line on it for us to tie to so we can work off of that?
The layers of sand covering the object only add to the mystery.
It's been buried for, well, we don't know how many years, for a number of years. Probably get some gloves for that cable.
Have these a fish down there?
I have no idea what is there.
Salvage is a gamble. You never know what you're going to pick up from the bottom of the ocean.
Is there valuable treasure down below? The divers can't make out what it is. But that only adds to the intrigue.
There's a lot of allure to it. It sounds fun and exciting. We might be recovering something that has value.
The waters off the Jersey Shore are known for their many shipwrecks.
These wrecks that have been sunk years ago, the owners have long given up any effort to recover any value from it. But they are high dollar value items.
The only question is how to get it out.
Right now, they're trying to hook to it with a strap.
The plan is to connect a line from the object to Phil's boat and use the winch to pull it out of the sand and onto the deck of the Challenger. First, the divers need to attach a shackle and the winch cable.
Can you guys try to keep tension on it while we lower it down?
You ready?
The strap has to be firmly attached, and the strong current is making the job even more difficult.
The dive team is critical because they have to go underwater and really figure things out. It's easy to say, just go down and tie and go down and rig and go down and do. You can tie a knot in a line at the surface in a matter of seconds. Tying a knot underwater with dive gear on could take 10 minutes. Things underwater aren't twice as hard as they are on the surface. They're probably 10 times as hard.
Which makes hooking it slow and painstaking work.
Visibility for the divers is a huge issue. They can't see what they're doing, and they have to do everything by feel. It just takes a lot longer and a lot more difficult, and becomes more of a risk.
We have to rig them to get them to the surface so they can be then brought on board North Star's boat. Sounds easy, but everything is easy till you go underwater, and then everything gets significantly more difficult.
Hey, Bill, can you let this line slack a little bit so we can lower the A-frame?
The A-frame is attached to the deck of the boat, and it pivots back and forth, and it has a connection for a winch cable on it. It carries a lot of weight and can lean over the back of the boat to allow for hoisting something up, almost like a crane would do. But an A-frame is safer to use on a boat than a crane typically.
It has a capacity of 11.5 tons, more than enough for an average salvage job.
Take it up a little bit. Up.
Okay, that's it for that. Start bringing your winch up now. Just come up slow and steady, that's it. All right, go ahead, a little more. Keep coming. See how the cable went slack there? Yeah. All right, so go ahead, come up some more.
You have to stay aware of each step of the process and don't make assumptions without thinking through the details of where you stand, and don't get in over your head.
No more.
But the mystery object won't budge.
Getting loaded up now, we got the weight of it. If we're still stuck to the bottom, if we can maybe use the boat motion a little bit, the forward momentum to break it from the bottom. Gary's gonna put it in gear for a minute, see if we move it off.
Well, if it's up, we should drag it, right?
Yeah.
Phil is going to use the power of the boat's engine to help pull it free. But first, he needs the divers to attach another strap.
We can't get it any higher. We're thinking if we could give you that blue line and you could shackle it to the shank or the chain, we need a little extra pull. We don't have enough pull. We good?
With the new strap in place, Gary puts the Challenger in gear, and Phil starts up the winch as the boat begins to move forward.
We're gonna keep trying to go back and forth a little bit, break it free, and keep the tension on the winch and see where we end up.
Slowly, the winch cable starts to move.
Got something out of it. Go ahead again. Keep doing that a couple times.
The cable stops moving. The mystery object is still on the bottom.
All right, hold that.
Whatever's down there is pushing the limits of the Challenger.
I don't know what it weighs. The winch capacity is maximized, and we can't bring it up any further, so we're not sure if it's off the bottom. We're still stuck in the sand.
But Phil is not one to walk away from a challenge.
This is gonna happen. I don't know how, but this thing's gonna happen today. On North Star, we don't give up on a salvage.
Along the Gulf Coast, Hurricane Sally ravages Pensacola, Florida.
As long as you have a hurricane over water, they can deepen, they can strengthen even further. That's exactly what this one did.
On the 14th of September 2020, Tropical Storm Sally leaped in intensity to a Category 2 hurricane and blasted the Florida Panhandle.
Plus, winds are very, very gusty here. It's hammering away, absolutely hammering away.
Sally's winds peaked at 170 kilometers per hour, and a 2-meter storm surge slammed into Pensacola.
We're not done with the water rise yet.
The wall of water swept away anything not tied down. One month after Hurricane Sally, 500 boats still need to be recovered. Each salvage job can net thousands of dollars. And today, Captain Chris Ward of Ceto is hoping for a big payday.
So, Chris, what's the strategy here today?
Trying to figure that out.
Captain Chris owns 3 Ceto operations, and this is the first of 2 jobs he hopes he'll finish today. He's enlisted the help of a couple of specialists for this first job. Ceto Captain Josh Moriera has traveled over 1,000 kilometers from the Florida Keys, drawn by the promise of steady and lucrative salvage work.
When I'm coming into Pensacola, it reminds me of a lot of times I've seen the hurricanes in the Keys. Boats underwater, boats 200 feet in land, where there should have been a dock, there is no dock. It's pretty dramatic up here.
Joining Josh is his new business partner, Captain Dave Vincent.
The goal every day is to try to save someone's boat.
The dock on the way out to it is completely gone. It looks like it is up on the lift, and we're going to have to put it down slowly because the stern is in the water, but the bow is up in the air.
On this first job, the boat is trapped on the metal frame of its lift, and the lift is attached to a dock that's in danger of collapsing.
Just watch your foot.
We don't know how stable this boat is, so we need to be very careful when we approach the dock and get in or around the boat.
They need to recover the boat without further damage.
I don't think we're moving that thing. She's jammed up.
One wrong move and the boat, lift, and dock could all come crashing down.
In this business, and especially during these operations, you have to have a team that can work together. With Dave and Josh, I try not to be the boss. They have skill sets, I have skill sets. We work together to make it happen. We'll go ahead and patch some stuff behind. That way you can cut it.
It's already cut and ready to go.
Cut and ready, boss.
Roger that.
But someone needs to rig the come-along on this dangerously damaged lift.
A come-along is a mechanical device that we can use to pull the vessel.
There is not much to hold on to, so it looks like I'm going to be doing a little bit of climbing today.
In the salvage business, this is called monkey work.
Dave is very meticulous. Maybe he has past military, that he's very A, B, C, D. I like to jump in and do things right away, where he can be like, oh, well, let's think about this.
I think as far as monkey work goes, Captain Josh volunteers for it. He likes to do it. I was an iron worker prior to becoming a captain, so I've done my share of climbing and hanging.
I'm gonna go double strap like this, Chris. Nice. I get to hold on with one hand and go across little beams. That actually kind of reminds me of my childhood, so it's fun. Ready?
It's not Cirque du Soleil, this is Cirque du Salvage.
Whew.
Josh has fixed the come-along in place on the lift. On the dock, Chris is figuring out how to extract the trapped 1.5-ton boat.
We've got to get that nose over. Any big movement out of this boat may create more damage to the boat or to the dock, or put one of my crewmen in danger. We got to get past that.
We have to figure out how to release the tension from the lift that it's resting on and then control the boat as it comes down.
It just hung up a little bit here on the corner of the lift, so we're just going to get a little pull to the other side.
The 1.5-ton boat is too heavy to simply release and lower. The weight of the boat is now hung up on a piece of the lift's metal frame down at the waterline.
We're releasing the come-along so that the bow can drop down further in the water and we can get the boat out of the situation it's in right now.
Try not to fall in the water.
And trying to not fall in the water.
For the work we do, you have to be in great shape. You have to be tough. A lot of these guys are working 16-hour days for 30 days straight.
Chris, let me see if I can get... There you go.
The boat is finally free.
It's a great feeling when we get these jobs done.
We get the satisfaction to know that we accomplished something that not a lot of people can do.
We're all happy and safe and about to take the vessel to our final resting spot.
Everybody did great today. Everybody was safe. We got the job completed.
Bruised and battered, Chris races across Pensacola to his second job of the day.
No matter how sore, beat up, we have to get our work done. So during the storm, this boat floated away from the local marina about a half mile away. Came and placed itself right on this lawn. This job we have is a 32-foot vessel. It is on land, pinned between a tree and a small little fence line.
This is the last boat to come out of Marguerite Childerslong's front garden.
I've been through hurricanes. The first one was in 1950, but I've never had 6 boats in my yard.
This boat is worth over $100,000. If Captain Chris can get it out in one piece. This 4.5-ton boat will test his salvaging skills.
As a Sea-Tow captain, you have to be able to run a boat. You have to be able to tie knots. You have to be able to use the right equipment to make it a successful salvage. This is a heavy-duty boat. It weighs a lot.
Chris's plan is to use an excavator to disentangle the boat from the trees.
We hook up our straps. The first thing we see are the engines are down in the ground. Let's see what we can do. I'm hoping that we can lift the back of the boat up enough. We have to get those engines up so we can get this thing pulled out. That's good, that's good. There you go. We don't want to damage the vessel more than it's already damaged itself. So we have to be very careful. Got a little bit of frost.
In the St. Simons Sound, Georgia, the MV Golden Ray is laying on her side with a cargo of over 4,000 new cars. She capsized as she was leaning into a turn just after leaving port.
What we have.
The team from T&T Salvage have a bold plan to remove the ship by cutting it into 8 massive pieces, but strong currents are scouring the seabed.
On the bow and the stern of the Golden Ray, the seabed was simply washing away.
We have to control the scouring to basically give us time to implement the removal plan.
But stopping a 6-knot current in its tracks isn't going to be easy.
We were instructed to build a containment wall around the bow and the stern, like a big circle.
One of our ideas is to put 40-foot containers full of rocks on the bottom.
Shipping containers, each filled with tons of rocks, are placed around the bow and stern of the ship.
Pull that end this way.
The intention is to redirect the current and have the scouring happening in other places, but not underneath the stern and the bow. We hope this is going to stop it until we come to the point where we can start cutting.
The effect is immediate. The currents begin to shift.
We still need to monitor that seabed.
Stabilizing the ship has delayed the salvage operation. And hurricane season is now just 3 months away.
Removing the Golden Ray before hurricane season was one of our biggest targets.
A hurricane could affect the whole project in a serious way.
The pressure is on to find an engineering solution to lift the 6,000-ton sections of the hull.
In order to lift anything, you need rigging. So that in itself, for this project, is tricky because we're looking at lifting sections upwards of 4,000, 5,000 tons.
They need an answer fast, and it's found in a simple but essential device, the lifting lug, which is used by cranes to lift shipping containers onto docks. Each section of the hull needs to be fitted with lugs capable of lifting 6,000 tons. But lugs that large don't exist. Making them will be a major engineering exercise.
Let's get a video of Axel.
Axel Urban is the naval architect in charge of designing the lugs.
When Mauricio called end of December, the Golden Ray project was the first time to design such huge structures. It is similar to designing a smaller lug, but the weight of each lug was more than 70 tons. The first design was the result of 4 iterations. And then during the design process for each and every single lug, we also had the necessity to adjust the design.
Due to the shape of the different sections of the hull, each lug has to be individually designed and custom made.
Each is different in its own way in any section because we need to take up as much surface area of the ship as well as take into consideration the strength and where those stress points are when lifting the structure out of the water.
The lugs are meticulously tested.
On the mag particle side, that little spot of lack of fusion right there where that buckshot hit, mag's gonna find that. But on areas like this valley, Visual's gonna have them fix something like that.
The lifting lugs have to be extremely precise, Swiss watch precise.
With time working against them, it becomes a nationwide effort to get the lugs made.
We opted to go to different shipyards to fabricate them and, sort of divide, conquer, spread the risk.
2 lugs are to be attached to each section of the hull. They must carry the full weight of each section, all 6,000 tons of it. That's the equivalent of 50 Boeing 757 planes.
So the lug has to be perfect. Well, the welding has to be perfect. Otherwise, you don't have the team together.
The fit of the lugs has to be precise because they're being attached to the internal structure of the ship.
We have to position them up to millimeters when we weld them down. If it doesn't have the support it's supposed to have, we will simply take out the shell plate. We will take the top side off and the section will remain where she is.
You gotta bring welders that are willing to get up there and weld 24/7 with perfect welding. We have a team out of Texas that is used to working for the oil and gas industry, and that's the team we're gonna bring in.
At times, we probably had close to 30 welders that have rotated.
Even a hairline crack in the weld could cause disaster.
We had to bring an independent inspector to verify it, right? Do our due diligence, and we did. We hired him full-time, pretty much, and he was actually impressed and shocked as to how perfect the welding was.
To install all 17 lugs is going to take weeks, and weather delays begin to take their toll.
As we approach hurricane season, we're certainly very much concerned with the potential impact. We are exposed to potential hurricanes or tropical storms.
The welders are working day and night, 24 meters above the surface of the water, even during severe weather.
Rain will come out of nowhere. There was a lot of lightning striking around us. We could see 10 at one after the other. We got cranes. We got a lot of metal above us.
This salvage operation is a series of firsts, from the large-scale demolition plan to massive lifting lugs. And now the team is about to deliver another first in marine salvage.
It's what I call creative engineering, because there's no book for it. It hasn't been done before.
"1,300 kilometers away, along the Jersey shore, veteran salver Phil Risco is struggling to recover a mysterious metal object long buried on the bottom of the sea.
I don't see how we're going to get it out. I don't think we have the capacity to get it out.
But the salvage is straining the 11.5-ton weight limit of his boat's winch. It looks like this catch is bigger than his boat can handle.
We need some extra force just to break it free from the sand.
Phil has one last trick up his sleeve.
What do you think about the ballast? Let's pump it out. Yeah.
The ballast tanks.
There's ballast tanks on the stern of the boat to help keep the boat lower in the water and keep it stable. So we're gonna pump the seawater out. The boat will rise up, hopefully break free with that extra buoyancy, and allow us to bring it up with the winch.
But with less stability, it's a risky maneuver. The wind is starting to pick up, making the swell on the water stronger.
There you go.
The winch is being pushed beyond its capacity. Finally, the cable starts to move.
It looks like it's hanging now off the bottom. See how it's swinging more? I think we have the weight of it.
Phil gets a first look at his nemesis.
Frickin' monstrosity. What the hell is that?
That's the end of the anchor, and that's the fluke we're looking at going out that way?
Frickin' huge, whatever it is.
He's been battling with a massive anchor.
When I first saw it at the surface, I was really anxious to get it on board and take a closer look and look for markings and any identifiers that might help us narrow down the history of it.
But now the anchor's hanging freely in the strong current, and the Challenger is taking all the weight.
It's a very large, heavy anchor of some sort. A boat in the size range of 500 plus feet could have an anchor like this.
Finding an anchor that big, so close to shore, catches the veteran Salvo off guard.
We really have no idea why it would be there, what ship it came from. It doesn't make sense that it would be in that location.
Is the RPMs up pretty high on the...
About 15, 16.
Still up that high? Sounds like it. Let me see if I can get any more lift out of this A-frame.
Anchors are not worth much money, but they are dangerous marine hazards. Now that he's found it, Phil has an obligation to remove it.
It's a monster, huh?
It's huge, yeah. I'm gonna try to lift from the winch a little bit more. See if you can get any more RPMs out of the hydraulic motor. Anything else, or is that it? If you can. We're gonna try to keep lifting it little by little, see if we can get the rest of the way up. It's a very big anchor, though.
Hey, Phil, shut it down, shut it down. Right up tight of it. I can't really tell what the shape of it is. Make sure we're not dragging into the bottom of the boat.
Yeah, I'm not feeling banging. Yeah, it's under the boat now.
Attempts to raise the anchor are moving it under the boat's hull. If Phil tries to lift it any more, he risks real damage to his boat and crew. But he cannot leave the anchor on the bottom.
Large anchors are hazards to navigation.
Oh, that's it. We can't get any more.
Phil has to come up with a new plan.
So every salvage, you have to understand that rarely does plan A work, and having flexibility and being able to change and adapt quickly ultimately allows you to be successful.
I think we could run into the dock almost like this. What do you think? Lower it down a little bit, steam home? We can't quite lift the anchor all the way out of the water. It's a very heavy, heavy anchor. We're gonna leave the anchor secure to the stern of the boat in the water, and we're gonna steam in with it that way. What we really try to do is attach this blue line.
Okay, but we need a shackle. You got a shackle?
He'll put something on. He's got one there.
The divers go back in to make sure the anchor's secured enough to withstand the journey back to the dock.
This anchor is only being held by one of the blue slings. The other one's loose.
The struggle to raise the anchor has broken it free from the rigging. It's now hanging precariously from a single strap, whilst being thrown about in the strong current.
How many pounds do you think this thing is? Because those slings, when they're choked, I think it said it's 17,000 pounds. I'm just worried if we're underneath it and the thing breaks or something.
You want a direct tension on that, and I'll do this?
You're trying to make sure that the conditions don't create a safety hazard, really. We don't want to put the crew and divers in harm's way. That's the #1 priority.
But the divers are just as committed to removing this marine hazard as Phil is.
As soon as he gets that ball on there, we're heading in.
Can't tie a knot, tie a lot, right?
Right. We're gonna try to get back to the dock like this, all right?
All right, Phil.
Nice.
Good, pretty good. See you later.
Well, we're not dragging much, because we're moving pretty good, Gary.
Phil is heading back with an anchor weighing over 11.5 tons getting flung around in the current. And as predicted, the weather starts to change and the seas are becoming more aggressive.
Late fall and winter, for the most part, the ocean usually has a pretty good swell. It's a little challenging, so you can't get complacent. The concern would be if we transit ahead that something may get tangled in the propellers of the vessel. I need a few people to go over to the marina. We need to pull in where the landing craft is. I've got an anchor hanging off the stern. Are we on the lift well and all? We okay?
Back at the dock, Phil calls in the heavy machinery with muscle enough to pull this anchor out of the water.
We're gonna try to pull the A-frame in. You're gonna have to get down there and try to hook the crane on.
But getting that anchor rigged is a challenge. The boat's winch has to come off as the crane's hook is being attached. A split second off and this anchor sinks to the bottom.
All right.
The crane takes the full weight of the anchor. And Phil finally discovers what he's been wrestling with.
There you go, 30, yeah.
That's a big anchor, man.
So it weighs about 30,000 pounds, which I think is about the weight of an aircraft carrier anchor. But it's pretty interesting. It's the biggest I've ever seen. No wonder we couldn't get it on deck.
Now that the anchor is on dry land, there are more questions than answers.
It's like writing, huh? I guess we'll try to research it, maybe find out where it came from.
It's their biggest catch yet, and thanks to their efforts, a potential hazard has been removed from the water.
I'm gonna put it next to my swimming pool. My family will love it.
North Star, we don't give up on a salvage. We keep going until we get it done.
Back in Pensacola, Florida, Sea Tow Captain Chris Ward is busy dealing with his own heavyweight salvage. A boat thrown 30 meters inland by Hurricane Sally needs to be removed from a homeowner's lawn. But the propellers of the boat's twin quarter-ton engines are stuck in the ground. And he can't lift them.
This is a heavy-duty boat. It's gonna take some muscle power to get these things up. Let's see what we can do.
Friendly neighbors help Chris tackle the heavy engines. One down, well, up.
All right.
And one to go.
1, 2, ready.
Now that the propellers are up, Chris can try moving the boat again.
Got plenty of room over here.
Everything you do from a 14-foot boat to 80-foot boat, it's different. That 80-foot boat could be a lot easier salvage than that little 14-foot boat. You just never know what's going to happen when you get on scene. All right.
These two rickety jack stands must hold all of the boat's 4.5 tons.
This will hold the boat long enough in place. That way we can pick up the bow with the excavator and put the trailer up under it.
Come on back with it. Come on back.
We're about to lower boat onto the trailer. Make sure she fits on here.
After all this hard work, it's the moment of truth.
Vessel came out nice and smooth. Got her on the trailer easily. It was a good job. You know, the biggest part of what we do at Sea Tow is using your mind, being able to take a situation and get it done.
And that's good news for Marguerite Childerslong, who had 6 boats dropped in her front garden by Hurricane Sally.
This is the last boat going out today, and that is a blessing. We got damage, but we will recover.
It's devastating to everybody around, but this is what we work for. This is why we do what we do, to help others.
In the St. Simons Sound on coastal Georgia, Mauricio Garrido and the team from T&T Salvage are tackling the removal of the 71,000-ton Golden Ray and its cargo of 4,000 new cars.
Car carriers are pretty unique ships. They look like a shoebox, and they have ramps.
There is no manual for what they're attempting. It's a series of innovations, from the 70-ton custom lifting lugs to the bold plan to slice the vessel into 8 large chunks, cars and all.
A job of this size will throw up lots of challenges. There's always an area of the puzzle that you cannot define 100%. And that's where experience kicks in to say, we should do this or do that.
And now the team are getting a look at another in a series of firsts. The VB-10,000.
It's the first time that she's been used to remove a ship. In fact, it is the first time we have it in the salvage industry.
I was really waiting for it because I never seen it. I heard about it. I kept saying, well, this barge has to be very huge for you to sell me the idea that this is going to pick it up completely out of the water, the pieces that we're going to cut.
Standing 73 meters tall, spanning 96 meters, the VB-10,000 is a heavy-lift twin gantry catamaran. A crane that is also a boat.
It's got 2 pontoons and can lift 7,500 tons. It is specially designed for these large lifts.
She was built some 10 years ago to lift the topsides of oil rigs around the Gulf of Mexico.
It's a U.S. flagged asset, which made it a primary suited for this operation.
Not only does the VB-10,000 have the necessary lift capacity, it's large enough to straddle the Golden Ray. But it's still a challenge to maneuver the massive crane through the strong currents.
In a locality like the Sound here in St. Simons, where you have extreme tidal currents.
You're in a crossways. You're coming out of rivers. There's the ICW, the Intercoastal Waterway. You have the river coming up, feeding it. Plus, you're wide open to the sea, and you're between 2 islands.
When the tide shifts from high to low tide, as the Sound begins to fill in with water or let water out back to the ocean, that creates a large current.
The current surprises even the best captains bringing in barges. It surprises them every now and then.
The current is a danger to both personnel and vessels. Timed incorrectly, it could batter the VB-10,000 into the capsized ship, so the crane can only be moved at slack tide, a window of only 40 minutes.
The slack tide is when we are between tides and there's very little current.
We have to use every single slack tide we can and make the most out of that time.
She was shallow enough that we could get her around the vessel with enough water depth for her to operate.
This is a monster crane for a massive salvage operation. But even engineering giants like the VB-10,000 are humbled by the elements.
Every job is very weather dependent. It affects diving, it affects lifting. We're certainly very much concerned with the potential impact. Storms are totally unpredictable, and the system could come from anywhere. The VB-10,000 is going to be sitting there in the middle of the St. Simons Sound, exposed to potential weather.
It can seriously harm the casualty, and that's a part we cannot control.
It's now June, and the tropical weather starts rolling in.
One challenge is time management, right? We're under a very tight timeline, and this will definitely impact our whole operation.